Boys, what's going on? Legion Nuda here playing more RuneScape Dragonwilds. Welcome to our Daily Gaming XP Grind, episode 167. So, we are going to be gathering a little bit more cooking resources and fighting a bit of monsters, so that way we can get more cooking resources. And obviously in the last episode, if you missed it, we're only 200,000 XP away from a million cooking XP. So we're right there. We're like right there. I mean, even though it's not right there, it's right there, right? I mean, 200,000 XP is not that much. I imagine that we can probably get that rather quickly as long as we stay focused and just keep at the course. Obviously, it's going to take a lot of different things. Me working behind the scenes. I mean, Fairhado is less than a month away, so we've got to double up our efforts a little bit here. Maybe not double up because I feel like we're already playing behind the scenes quite a bit. So I don't know that saying I can double up my efforts is actually feasible, but we are going to do our best to make all these things happen. And I think we're going to be okay regardless. Um, Potentially anything that might get sacrificed in the process would actually just be things like, I know we were trying to get our attack styles to a certain place before Fairlado came to the game, and so all that's going to basically come down to cooking a million XP is our number one goal with this. So whatever happens in between, whatever else extra that we actually can get, is what we'll get. But the ultimate goal is going to be a million cooking XP. So if we sort of fall short in getting certain things up, that's okay because our primary goal is 1 million cooking XP. We are going to have to go back to our base. I guess nightfall came a lot sooner than I really imagined it might. And so excited to jump into Valhalla and just dive into zombies and the undead and ghosts. And looks like we're going to have to fix our crossbow though, actually. It looks like it's actually quite damaged. So let's go ahead and take care of that before it becomes a problem. It's better to be productive and sort of, I'm trying to think of the word, but it's like, I don't think it's counterintuitive, but it's something like that, where basically you're trying to set yourself up before something becomes a problem. And if you can do something about it before that actually happens, that's actually probably a really good idea. So I just sort of thought I'd come here and grab these, even though they're not like super important. It's such a small amount. But let's go over here. But you've got to imagine we are getting quite a bit of XP from just killing animals and things like that in ranged in whatever other attack style that we actually are deciding to focus on while killing creatures. But so I think for the most part we should be able to reach pretty good goals in magic and ranged while fighting and gathering resources for cooking. So obviously just going to be putting our best foot forward to accomplish what we're trying to get done. And so I feel pretty confident that we're going to be able to reach all of our goals, which is quite crazy actually. If you think about the way that everything sort of got timed and the goals that we did have in place, everything sort of worked out quite nicely. And so we're going to have everything that we were basically going for. And I think that's quite crazy that when I sort of started these daily gaming XP grinds, that between now and then, we've sort of come to a place where we're going to be able to complete all these different things that we wanted to do and not really fall short. And I think the only thing that I really have that to credit that to is that I stuck to it, and it seemed like Fairlahalo was light years away when all this started, and it just time's got a funny way of working. Obviously it keeps going forward, but I still feel like we progressed throughout the course very nicely, and yes, I mean we just put so much time behind the scenes and working towards the goals that we want. Wish there was more chickens over here. I'm not sure why sometimes so many more spawn in, But we've got 3 cows over here. There we go. Getting it done. And let's see, now there's only 1 left. And we did just take a hit from a cow, but that's okay. I actually quite like how realistic the cows are in the game. I think it sort of adds a nice touch. We've got our graphics set to high so we can actually see the rats so far away. Let's see if we can't kill that deer. And we got him. That's crazy. That's something I was really excited about when I used to shoot down rune essence with my bow, was my accuracy getting really good. But it turned out that once they actually sort of put it into the game fully, it didn't do quite what I thought it was going to do. So it's actually very, very difficult to aim pretty accurately far away with the bow. And interestingly enough, that was my favorite form of ranged. And I've talked about this a little bit, how somehow in the midst of all of it, like the crossbow ended up being my favorite method. And that's not the case for the other RuneScape. I actually quite liked the bow a lot better. But I found that when fighting monsters in the old RuneScape, that the crossbow just made sense. Even though I think you fired more arrows with a bow, you sort of just did more damage with a crossbow. So I guess it sort of stays true to this as well. But so many resources we're collecting, but we know what the goal is. We're gonna reach it. We just got to keep to it and make it happen. So it's crazy. I think one of the interesting things about when Valhalla comes to the game is just how much there is going to be to explore. Apparently, it's supposed to be 2.5 times what we already got. So when you really look at that in comparison, I mean, that's a lot of map. I mean, that is a lot of map. And hopefully everything comes out when they said it was supposed to and there's no delays. But if not, then December 15th is the date that we're going to be looking at to get all this amazing new stuff in the game. But going back to the map size, I mean, we're going to have so much more area to sort of explore. I think it's actually crazy. We're actually so lucky that, I mean, even just what's here took us so long to truly fully explore. So, I mean, that's absolutely just gnarly. Like, how much more we are going to have to play with and sort of check out and see what it has to offer. And so I think it's going to actually be so much fun. I think we're all going to have a really good time with that. And with undead being in there, and it looks like potentially ghostly creatures, things like that, all of it just combined, it just screams amazing. And it's just going to have to take some time to get there. Ultimately, I've got to sort of silence my phone right now as I got an update, but I'm really concerned that it would just be that I would get a phone call and I wouldn't, obviously I don't like that sort of thing, like an interruption like that in my videos. So I try to be conscious of that. I usually try to silence my phone before I start recording, as I think it affects the overall quality. Um, I don't like things like that. I think it's like, not that I'm some sort of professional or something. I mean, obviously, you know, in some regard, I'm trying to make quality content, but I think when a phone goes off, it's just a lot of different things. Obviously, these are things we can't control, and sometimes there's emergencies, but at the same time, I don't really want to have to worry about that. I feel like it's distracting and ultimately just not cool. So I try to be aware of those sort of things. But there are times I forget. So, anyway, there's so many resources and it's so therapeutic. I imagine, is this good for the brain? I would think it is, but I can't say for certain. It's not like I've some sort of survey that says running around doing this, but I definitely think you sort of get lost in it. That's for sure. You sort of, and look at all these chickens. This is absolutely ridiculous. It's so amazing because chickens are super important in all the different recipes that I'm planning to do, sort of work on to get cooking up and try to be efficient. And so to have all these chickens out here is absolutely ridiculous. and we've got more potatoes we didn't see. We've got more red berries. We've got some cabbage. It's so crazy. It's like so weird. I almost look at it like dopamine in a sense. Like I know it's not that way for everybody for sure, but for me, it's like seeing all these different things that I want to interact with or collect. Sort of definitely does something to my brain. I'm certain that some other people feel this way. Even though it's just chickens, it's not like anything crazy like, oh, there's dragon hide on the ground or something like that. But for me, it's still quite a big deal. And it's not like these guys give an amazing XP when you kill them either. It's more so like resources and feathers and things like that. And it looks like every time I'm killing them, there's just more spawning. So that's actually quite nice as well. Now I've got to go back and pick up all these resources that were sort of all over scattered on the ground. So let's go look at them all. And then we've got those 3 cows, which I've got to kill. Let's see if I can get that guy. We did. I want to try to get these cows to come over here without me having to go all the way over to them. So I missed that guy. So many cooking resources, so much XP, even though they're lower level, it's all going towards the same thing, and that's progress. So there's another chicken. I imagine we're going to have quite a bit of feathers. I think terror birds also drop feathers, but it's a little bit more tricky. I would have to go to the fractured plains and sort of fight them in a different sort of way. And they're more scattered. I mean, if you can get lucky like this and you've got a lot of chickens just sort of lying around, I mean, I think that's more ideal than having to sort of chase tear birds all over the fractured plains. And I think that when you're sort of chasing things like that, it changes things a little bit in the efficiency, really, of how much. Wow, it looks like my weight is exceeded. So let's go over to this lodestone, and then it looks like we pretty much got everything from the creatures that we killed. So we're gonna go to our base, even though we have to walk really slow now. Maybe we can get that killed while we're on our way over there. I missed. Terrible accuracy right now. There we go, we got him. So, oh, there's a chicken. And then got him. So we can come back for those resources later. But ultimately, you can see how much water we're going through. And that's why I always talk about things like how it's going to be so important that I've also, collected all these food and drinks over the course of time. And to some, it may seem like that's a little bit over excessive. But I think what really is going to happen is I'm going to be spending such a large time um, out and about working on different things and collecting and killing new creatures. So I imagine we're going to need quite a bit of these drinks that we sort of look at now and say, like, I could never possibly go through all that. But I think generally, for the most part, when you're talking about RuneScape, they sort of put things into the game that you're actually going to be using. And even if you're not using it in this moment, you will be using it. And so, do I think I'll run out of food and drinks based on how much I've cooked and how much XP I've acquired? No, only because I've set myself up to not have that happen. So, but I do see that actually being a problem for if potentially you weren't like stocked up enough. I could really see someone might having to take quite a bit of time and gathering all these things so that that way they put themselves into a position where they sort of do have all these things, but it would just look a little bit different. It's going to be like as you go you're going to have to collect all these things versus sort of having them readily available. And so that's really the big thing for me. I've done it so many times, and basically, you sort of don't want to. Maybe you just want to sort of take a break from the game because you're already level 50 and everything. And then once you come back, all these really new exciting things come, and you want to start to explore them and just enjoy the game. And what happens is you don't really have enough stuff to get you through. So you've sort of got to stop. I mean, whether it be a quest in the old RuneScape, there were so many different things really ultimately that basically you're trying to go to this thing and it sounds really simple and then it's like you don't have this or you don't have that. And so from that experience that I got from playing the old RuneScape, I think it's helped me in the way that I've sort of approached this game. Even though they're different, this is a survival game. I'm still trying to set myself up to basically, when new things do come to this game, I'm in a position where I can fully enjoy them versus having to basically be inconvenienced constantly with looks like you don't have enough water, looks like you don't have enough food. So those are things I'm trying to address early on to put myself in a position to basically be able to just play. And ultimately, it's come at the cost of probably over 500 hours, but at the same time, I think those same 500 hours you were going to spend doing it inside Hollow or potentially further on. But uh, regardless, at some point you're going to have to do it. It just really depends on when you want to do it. And so I'm quite glad that I already kind of got it out the way. So I don't know. I think that's a really big deal for me, anyways. It's different for everyone, and that's fine. But understanding that, um, I mean, I used to play the old RuneScape quite a bit, right? I think I told you guys I played over the span of like 19 plus years, and um, obviously, there's so many things that you learn from it. Even though it's just a game, it's like you're put into a different mindset when you're playing on the game that long, and it sort of changed actually the way that my brain sort of looked and approached different things. Like a lot of people could say, like, I know games all the time aren't good for your brain and things like that potentially. But I actually learned quite a bit. I remember at the old Falador, um, it was Falador, if I'm not mistaken, where people would have to go trade before there was an auction house. We all had to type everything in each and every single time. I'm sure people developed like little things that like let them type things and it just went over and over and over again. But that's not really how I did it. So it actually allowed me to become an incredibly fast typer. And that's one of the biggest things I'd say I got from that game. And obviously the way that resources interact together, and it sort of also sort of taught me a little bit about the stock market in some sort of regard. I mean, you're constantly over there trying to potentially sell things and then understand that some people were manipulating items. They would buy Eye of Newt. I remember there was an Eye of Newt thing going on, and somebody or a couple people maybe potentially bought all the Eye of Newts in the game. And that was one of those items that I think you could buy them from the vendor, but I'm not 100% sure. So you had an alternative, but I think she might have had like a limit. So whoever decided, hey, I'm going to go buy all the Eye of Newts in the game, and if you were potentially making potions, you were forced to pay this price. Or if you were one of the wealthier players, you don't like to sit and do things like that, like wait for a store to refresh. So you're just going to pay what you need to pay to get things done. And oftentimes people would manipulate markets to sort of make money. And the more of something you have, the more money you're going to make when you go to set it back. So it was actually very interesting how some people found a way to manipulate the game in that way. And truly, it sounds like a horrible thing to do that to players, to hoard an item and make it so other people had to pay more to use it, but it's actually genius. I mean, I know it's terrible and it's like not very player friendly, but let's be real. Whoever did do that is just genius. Um, I mean, that's how like million billionaires were created in the old RuneScape, aside from just killing enormous amounts of creatures, which I did with Bararius. I believe I killed, was at 4,500, and I got like a green Halloween mask, two of those. I got two blue masks and two red masks. So um, the work definitely paid off, and obviously it took a considerable amount of time, but I don't regret it in any regard. If anything, it like allowed myself to hold myself accountable for basically this gigantic undertaking, and it changed basically everything about me as a player. Having to go out there and grind this incredible journey, and what came from it, and I mean, I could have pretty much at that point any armor that I wanted, and so that's an interesting thing. I used to have friends who played the game and they were trying to find ways to cheat just so that way they could like somewhat be relevant or have things that they wanted that they didn't want to work for. Some of them got caught, and then other ones just stopped playing the game. And because that's the interesting thing as well, is just because you have money doesn't necessarily mean that you have the required skills to actually play the game at a certain level. You could get armor that dropped off an incredibly difficult boss to kill, but it didn't mean that you were going to be able to perform at a high level when it came to fighting those harder bosses. You could buy the gear that dropped off this incredibly difficult monster that it drops, but if you went to go fight that monster, you could clearly see that you didn't actually possess the ability to kill that monster, even with that better gear, because you sort of didn't actually put in the work to learn the mechanics and earn that um, achievement. So it made it a lot harder when you actually went into the world. So I mean, there's obviously benefits, I suppose, right? If people wanted to cheat, you get to have these cool things, but you're actually not getting better at the game. You're just having an aesthetic. You're having the look of like, oh my gosh, this guy's got money. This guy's probably done great things, and then you actually don't see that he has maybe a quest cape, or you don't see that he has like any 99 capes. He just potentially wanted to appear to be this amazing player. And I mean, I actually had a friend who actually bought a character in World of Warcraft, and that was actually so interesting because I remember I was max and I had lots of money because I grinded and grinded and grinded, and so he sort of buys this character. And I remember he told me he got kicked out of his guild immediately because he didn't know how to play. They all accused him of buying it, and so that doesn't feel really good either. I think when you start playing a game, especially like an MMO, you've got to learn all the different things that your character can actually do. And I think that through the transition of all that lower level stuff that you haven't really worked on, um, you have to learn your class, whatever it is you might be doing. And I think that that sort of thing will be implemented into this game at some point. I think at some point, certain things like that are actually going to be important. It's it's not really. I don't think now. I don't really see it all that much, but it might be like, especially like the five-headed dragon, right? That could be a thing. I'm not sure, but it's important to learn different things because not only in a group setting, but in an individual environment, you're going to want to learn how to survive and learn mechanics and things like that. I don't really use my roll ability, and I think it would actually save me quite often, but I've got it sort of set up so it's really far away, and it makes it a lot harder to actually reach that far. So it's something that I definitely could fix. I just haven't done it. So if any of you guys have ever been watching me and wondering why aren't you sort of rolling, it could actually save you. And I think the most simple answer is laziness, that I have not fixed it. And now I've completely taken off my weapon. And this is terrible. What's going on here? Why are there so many goblins in my base? What is going on? Did they all come at once? It's supposed to come in like a wave. It's a good thing I took that potion or that I can't even think of the name right now. The wardstone, because this is crazy. What is this? I don't even understand why there's so many goblins in my base right now. I might actually die because there's so many that came. This is terrible. I mean, I'm going to get a lot of goblin packs, which is quite nice. But what in the actual heck is going on? It's almost like they were listening to my conversation about playing the game, and they were like, "We're going to show this guy. He thinks he's so amazing, and we're going to just pay completely." All of them came at once, so that's why that happened. I was like, "There's no way. That's just the first wave. That's absolutely gnarly." So anyway, we're going to go ahead and grab these last red berries, and then go ahead and empty out our inventory. I'd say we probably got quite a bit. In this shrapnel, I can't remember what that's for, but we've got quite a bit that we've just been stockpiling. So anyway, let's take a look. So I'd say we've got quite a bit of eggs. We've got 100 eggs. We've got about 143 potatoes. So we're working on getting all this together. And obviously, we're not going to work on cooking in this episode, but we are getting the necessary ingredients to sort of take us into that area where we can actually start working on cooking and be incredibly efficient. So you can see here we've got lots of feathers, and I'm probably going to end up using a lot of my feathers to actually work on cooking so we can get that sort of out the way and finished with, which will make me feel amazing. So, sort of just checking to see if I can't find any other feathers that I sort of overlooked, because obviously I want to see how many feathers I actually got. I imagine I'm going to be killing quite a bit more chickens, so if I use these for cooking, I don't think it's the end of the world. Let's see if I maybe put any over here. No. So we do got quite a bit of feathers. And that didn't take that long to get those, and I think I even got more in a chest inside my warehouse. So anyway, let's go over an XP update. 347,000 attack XP, ranged 119,000, woodcutting 1,005,000, construction 2,015,000, runecrafting 1,001,000, magic 135,000, mining 4,277,000, artisan 4,146,000, and cooking 801,000 XP. So we're 299,000 XP away from a million cooking XP, and we're moving quite fast. And I'm very grateful. Grateful for you guys checking out my content and following our progress. Hopefully, you guys are enjoying your adventures in this wonderful game, RuneScape Dragonwilds. And until next time, Legion Looter out.